Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, in this episode today, we're going to talk about one of the most dangerous situations you could ever be in, and that's having multiple attackers coming at you. And how do you survive something like that? We see situations like this in martial arts movie, especially Jackie Chan movies, and that's one of the inspirations that I want to have you consider. If you've never seen Jackie Chan in the movies, uh, he quite often in his movies takes on a large number of attackers, anywhere from like two or three, all the way up to as many as 30 in his movies. Is it realistic? No, it's not realistic. Is it possible to take on a certain number? Yes, it is. And for myself, the magic number is six attackers simultaneously. And I've been doing this since the age of 16. Uh, and My first time going up against six armed attackers was 1977. 1977, found myself in a bad situation. Uh, and this was the era of the Chinese gangs. And in 1977, we saw a big gang war between Oakland and San Francisco. And so um, that's one of the things that I'm talking about. And they didn't play fair. And the other thing is, the other side also had guns, they had knives, and they also had martial arts. So things were kind of even. Now, if you look at what each side had, but what each side didn't have was the high skill level that I had attained. And I had attained my skill level where I was actually a deadly person at the age of 12. So at 16, 17, I'm more than capable. But then I've been training to take on multiple attackers. And in my training, we did full contact, meaning that you hit with 80% of your strength, 80% of your skills. So it hurt. And this is how you train for pain management. This is how you train uh, to take on multiple attackers. First thing that you have to do, number one, is control the flow, meaning that if you're in a situation where you have multiple attackers in front of you, the most important thing is not to have them get behind you. You want to have your back cleared, or your back pointed to a solid structure like a building, uh, vehicles, things like that. And the most important thing that comes into play at this time was Bruce Lee's famous line, "Be water, my friend, be water." And that's what you literally have to do. You have to stay moving once the attack begins. You cannot grow roots on your feet. If you grow roots on your feet, you are dead. They will kill you or severely beat you. So, first thing, here's the priority, the nine priorities that I have in the event of a multiple attacker situation. First thing, if you have loved ones, a spouse, significant other, children, if especially children, that's your number one priority, protecting your loved ones. And then number two, like I said, be water, my friends, be water. You have to keep moving. The moment you stop moving and start focusing on one attacker or two attackers, you're done. You cannot stop moving. You have to constantly be moving, and mostly moving away from them so that you're drawing the crowd, and also you're creating space. Space is your friend and time is your enemy. So in the event of a fight, control the flow. meaning that you create a situation where only one attacker can come in at you at a time. And the most important priority at this time is not so much defeating that person completely so that they're not in the fight, but dwindling the numbers. So if you're in a situation where you have 3 to 6 people uh, on the attack, yes, if they hit you simultaneously, you are going to get hit and kicked. But at the same time, you have to bear the attack, meaning that you have to survive the beating, the initial beating, but at the same time that you're beating, you are also using your elbow because they're inside a 20-inch circle. Your 20-inch circle, you need to maintain dominance. And how you maintain dominance, you use dirty tactics. You use dirty fighting tactics. Number one, your legs are the most important uh, defense weapon that you have for distance because that gives you up to 32 inches of leg length typically, and that creates also your outer circle, the 30-inch fighting circle. The 36-inch fighting circle is your distance when you're in a fight, and that's your long distance. So this is without weapons, and you're going up against many. First thing that you want to do, control the flow. Position yourself in a way that only one attacker can come at you at a time, and it has to be in a succession, so that as you each one that you temporarily disable or defeat is temporarily out of the fight. He doesn't have to be completely out of the fight. He just needs to be out of the fight long enough so that you can deal with the other attackers as they're inbound. And as each one is inbound, you take low shots. Number one, you take out wheels from your attacker, feet, knees, hamstrings, waist, nuts, solar plexus. These are all areas that you want to kick with your feet. Also, you want to do a Muay Thai jab, leg jabs, meaning that you're using kicks, uh, medium kicks to the shins as jabs, and you do that with both legs, both of your legs, and again, you stay moving. And you're saying, well, how can I do all this? This is part of being water. You have to continuously flow and move. You cannot stop unless you are actually punching, striking, kicking the individual. But once that strike or punch is completed, back to movement, and keep moving. The next thing that you want to do, you want to deflect and redirect any blows. You're not trying to stop them. You're just redirecting, and because you don't have time to deal with the constant punching. And so pushing a person, giving a hard shove is a good one. Palm heel strikes to the chin, chops to the throat, neck, larynx, and esophagus. These are all soft tissue points that you want to hit with either a chop, a V chop, or hand spear. Hand spears are very deadly in close quarter, especially when you hit the larynx, the voice box. You could rupture that, which is what I've done to many people. And once you rupture the larynx, they are out of the fight because they are literally choking on their blood. And so that's one way to start dwindling the numbers. Again, that's a quick opportunity to take somebody out of the fight, and you're dwindling the numbers. The other thing is, if they have a knife, that is an extremely dangerous situation and a very deadly situation, and a situation where deadly means are necessary. And I'm talking from a perspective of no weapons on me. No weapons. I am the weapon. I can disarm a person with a gun. I can easily disarm or break arms which is what I've done in the past. Another technique that I've done to dwindle numbers, and it's a deadly situation. In one of my previous episodes, I talk about knife fighting, and the knife fighting. One of the techniques that I talk about was taking the person who has the knife, and he's swinging it at you and stabbing at you. And again, we're back to the triple trap, the butterfly. And so anywhere that the knife comes in, whether it's this side, in the middle, or this side, I've got them trapped. And once you trap them, you pull them in, and then you use the elbow as a striking, your inside strike, and that takes them out temporarily. And then you throw them aside and wait for the next one to come in. And the next one comes in, you have to be ready. Again, you have to be moving and keep your back to a solid structure so that nobody comes in on you. One of my situations, when I was manager of a homeless situation, and this was in 2018, we were attacked by a group of 20 somethings on seniors. And what they came in, they didn't like the homeless people, and they had beef with a few people at in my camp. And they came in. This one individual grabbed a shovel and just started hitting people with a shovel. And if you know a shovel, that's a dangerous weapon, and especially when it's being swung. And they were destroying tents and shelters with that. And also, they came down to where I was and started threatening seniors, seniors, and person had the shovel, and I had to come out on this person. And the thing was, this aggressor, he was very vocal and very violent in what he was doing, but also he had two trailing accomplices. Those are the most dangerous because you don't see them. You don't see the trailing accomplices, and that's the danger zone. And you have to expect that. Like I said, I've been dealing with this since I was 6 years old, and because attackers, many of them won't fight you by themselves. They'll gang fight you. And in a gang fight, it can be anywhere from 3, 6, a dozen people. If it's a dozen people, you're toast, unless you're able to run. Run, distract, because you're not going to overwhelm that many people. One of the best situations at that time is to get up on top of a tall vehicle, because that really limits access. So if you're able to climb up onto a car, a truck, or a van, and take the high point, you can defend yourself and do pretty well defending from a high point, because they have to actually work hard to get up to you. And while they're working up to get to you, you're using your feet to kick them in the head, face, and anywhere else to keep them from gaining access to your space. And you have to protect your space with all means necessary. And in some cases, that means picking up a weapon, meaning an improvised weapon, a stick, meaning 4 foot, 5 foot, a 6 foot, even if it's a broomstick, it is an improvised weapon. And in a broomstick, uh, people have the tendency to swing. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to be using the very end of that and jabbing them with the end of that broomstick, and especially jabbing them in the sternum and the face. Both of those are high pressure points, and they are going to be painful when you hit them with the end of that stick. I mean, just poke them as hard as you can. You've seen Bruce Lee use a staff in a lot of his movies, and people tend to swing. Well, it's not just swinging, it's jabbing, just like that. It very simple movement, but it causes a tremendous amount of pain to the attackers. Shielding, grabbing objects, chairs, garbage cans, anything that you can to shield you. And another thing that you can do while shielding is a technique called busting out. And what that does, while you're being shielded, you just do a hard rush with that shield right through the crowd. I mean, you just push them as hard as you can, and that shield, if it's proper, it'll knock them out of the way, and it also will provide no grip whatsoever because of it being a smooth surface. And so busting out, you just rush right through there, and when you get through there, you keep going. You don't stop. You keep going. uh, unless the numbers are satisfactory for and in your favor. uh, Again, like I said, control your environment. uh, Create a situation where only one attacker can come at you at a time. You've probably seen in the movie Top Gun, Tom Cruise beating up five characters in his early movie, and uh, it just and then in Mission Impossible, there's a lot of different movies where you see multiple attackers and you see them getting defeated. Realistically, in the real world, if you have not trained for this, you have not spent hours and hours and hundreds of hours practicing against multiple attackers, yeah, it is very overwhelming. Um, and then the most important thing is when you're being confronted by a group, don't run. Because what that does, number one, all you're going to do is pre-tire yourself. You're going to exhaust your energy by running. And the likelihood of you outrunning the group is none. Literally, it's none. You're not going to outrun the group. I'm at an age where I'm too old to run. I can move. I can shuffle. I, I mean, I can still move. But as far as running, no, I can't run. And most seniors can't run. And so you have to be at a place where your experience comes into play. And like I said, I have decades of experience fighting multiple attackers. And then in my career, fighting multiple attackers. So I've been doing this a long time. Uh, the next step number 8 in this, prioritize and alternate your attack. So what you're going to be doing is prioritizing who you're going to attack, who comes in. Uh, Usually, you want to defeat the biggest person possible because they're going to be the most challenging, number one. And then the smallest person is usually the cleanup person, and they're the ones who are going to come in and while you're on the ground and just kick the crap out of you with unrelenting mercy uh, for that person. So that's why you don't want to go to the ground. You want to stay on your feet at all times so that you remain mobile. Remember, there are 3 key factors in a fight, and there's you remove any one of the 3 factors in a fight, and your opponent can't continue the fight. And those 3 elements are: number 1, they have to be able to see you. Element number 2, they have to be able to be mobile. They have to be able to move. And number 3, and finally, the third most important is breathing, your breath. And if they can't breathe, you can't fight. If you can't see, you can't fight. If you can't move and be mobile, you can't fight. Those are the 3 elements of a fight that are of the highest priority. And then, like I said, prioritize your targets. Your targets are probably the biggest one, or the one that's running his mouth the most. That's the bully. And you want to hurt them. You want to hurt them bad. And hopefully they don't have a weapon. And this is a situation that I talk about unweaponized fighting, but I also am ready for a weaponized fight. And those are the most dangerous. If they have guns, you have no choice. If they have knives, you have a chance if you know how to fight with bladed weapons, single edge or double edge weapons. You have to be extremely good with that, and that's where my Filipino martial arts, Eskrima, Kali, comes into play, because not only is it martial arts of the hand, but it's also weapons, bladed weapons, batons, staffs, and things like that to back up everything that I use and that I've learned in Wing Chun and also Muay Thai. Muay Thai is more of a martial arts that uses your hands, legs, feet. You are the weapon, and so these are things that hopefully will help you. Like I said, once you see things setting up and coming at you, your attack has to be brutal and vicious. It can't be wishy-washy. It has to come 100% from your killer instinct that you've developed. Uh, Taking out the aggressors one at a time. You're not the when you have multiple attackers. Number one priority is not defeating them, but temporarily disabling them, dwindling the numbers. Again, dwindle the numbers. You can have 6 attackers, but if you dwindle the numbers, you can get it down to 1 attacker and be very manageable. And that's what I do. I make things very manageable. I cheat. I fight dirty. My strike zones, your priority strike zones, nose, eyes, the neck. Use, again, like I said, the V chop or a backhand chop to the neck area. These are all soft tissue areas and highly vulnerable to pain stimuli. Another area that is easily accessible, especially on an incoming attack. This fits right in your range from 36-inch to 24-inch and the 20-inch. Muay Thai knee strikes to the nuts or kicks to the person's groin area. It doesn't matter if you hit them directly in the nuts, you hit off to the sides of the groin, you're going to cause muscle spasms, and so the temporary disabling them so that they're temporarily out of the fight. They're not out of the fight, but they're temporarily out of fight. They're not going to be a problem to you for the next 5 to 10 seconds. So that gives you, buys you time to deal with the next attacker. And then the other strong attack zone where you want to hit hard are the knees. Incoming attackers hit their knees, even just straight out with a straight kick. Just bend that leg backwards or to the side. What you do, you tear ligaments, and you could possibly break the knee joint, which could disable them, but at the very least, you have temporarily disabled them for the next 30 seconds, most likely. Stomping on a foot, especially toes, can buy you up to 10 seconds of time. So these are all elements that you have to learn to implement and keep in your mind in the event of a multiple attacker. But again, you need to train for this. This is not something that you're just going to win at without any training or any kind of experience. Thanks for joining me today. Hopefully that helps you to survive a multiple attacker beating. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.